So, I've been gone for a while, work has been crazy, but I'm back with another video. In my struggle to gain subscribers, I decided to clout chase off the Toy Story movie and make an iPad lily pad case. My iPad is in really bad shape, so Apple, if you're saying this, I wouldn't mind a replacement. I'll be using a new printing filament that's flexible because I wanted the case to be as close to a real one as possible. Photo of Google and it's way too small, and my tablet is about the size of the paper, so there's no way for me to size up a template without making it way too big and weird looking. So I'm going to completely freehand this tablet with just the photos and common sense. I had no idea what was coming my way. Poor naive past me. I did end up adding a lot of tape because I was worried I would mess up my screen, but later I kind of got tired of wrapping it and just went with it and it didn't break. That's not saying you should do it, but it didn't hurt. Now that the iPad is secured, we can start adding the first layer of filament. This took a very long time, and this is a smaller version of this iPad. I can't imagine how much longer it would be if I had the larger iPad. This filament also completely clogged this pen and would get stuck, so I had to switch to the NYNT Pro. People often ask me where to get 3D pens from, and I would suggest eBay. Most people buy them after watching Sinago, realize it's hard, and sell them way cheaper than Amazon. I don't think you get the warranty secondhand, but the most common part failure is the nozzle, and that can be bought on AliExpress or from NYNT themselves. I can't admit I haven't seen the new Toy Story movie, and I don't think I will. I'll probably watch it in like a year or so. My favorite Toy Story movie is Toy Story 3, the best one. Lotso is my favorite villain, and he's my favorite color, and he's on the top of my what to make next list. You can see I went from filling closely in to making lines, and that's because I got to the point where just okay was enough, and that usually doesn't take long to reach when you're filling in the same thing for hours and seemingly feels like days. In reality, this took me around 2.5 hours. Once the back was done, I filled in the edges of the screen. The next step is the rest of the details, which had to be hand drawn. I wasn't concerned about making it perfect because I would have to fix it later. And of course, I couldn't make any of these details symmetrical because I am bad at art. Now you can hopefully see why it took so long to make, and this is before I ran into the delays you'll see later in the video. Making things with a 3D pen can take a lot of time. This is why I'm so upset at the recent changes of YouTube monetizing. They require double everything now because they paid out millions to AI, so everyone else has to suffer to read them out. Now, you need 20 million short views or 8,000 watch hours, which is honestly insane. So, I'll probably make more popular things here and there. My last video was just me making a frog because I like them a ton. I've never used this filament before, so I had no idea how high I needed to stack it, so I just went over it once. It actually looks like a real case, which obviously I bought flexible filament, but still, this looks good. I wanted to make a mechanical hand at some point, and I think this will come in handy for the joints. For the side parts, I used wood filament instead because I figured these parts needed to be a bit tougher. I then had to build up the filament on the front of the face so it wasn't completely flat. You can see the nozzle of this pen is clogging and the filament is seeping through. That's because that's what's happening. I was too deep to turn around and stop. Good thing is I'm pretty sure it's a nozzle and I have so many spare parts around. Now, the last thing to make before I'm free from this hell I put myself in. Since this is my second time doing this, I'm way better this time. Next up was smoothing, and to keep the heat low, I used my soldering iron instead of my Clover mini iron. This meant it took way longer, but it was safer for my iPad. I didn't test out the filament before I used it because that will require planning and I'm not capable of that. The problem is that flexible filament is so hard to smooth out. It bubbles and pops, and attempting to make it completely flat is near impossible. So, if I were ever to do this again, I would make a filament board and cut it out instead. At this point, my soldering iron broke, so I had to use the Clover mini iron, which caused a delay in smoothing. This took 2 days to come, and I highly recommend buying 3D printer kits because they come with custom smoothing tips. And of course, this one arrives with a broken heating component. It would heat up and immediately turn off, and I didn't want to burn my house down, so I started a return. This means I had to wait 3 more days for the replacement to arrive, but I can finally fix to face. This tip is exactly what I'm talking about, and I wouldn't be able to do this with a regular soldering iron tip. I bought this super glue that's made specifically for 3D prints. I'm not sure it's any different from regular super glue, but it worked. It didn't dry instantly, and I left it alone for a full 24 hours, which caused another delay. I pulled this quite hard to see if it would move, and it surprised me. The only problem was it needed to be weighed down because the face kept slipping. I'm not sure if this is good for any other scenario. To add the side parts back to the case, I was originally going to use super glue, but I didn't want to wait, so I did it manually. So if you look closely, this case is missing a few details, but I made this just from the teaser trailer and a screenshot that I took. I had no idea what this was going to look like. And by the time that the movie came out, I just wanted to finish this case and get it over with, so my apologies. With all that smoothing done, it's finally time to put the iPad in the case for the first time. But before I add the fingers, I needed to go back and fill in all the gaps. You can see from the thumbnail, it's not completely terrible, but I try to make my projects as smooth as possible. I would normally use wood filler or a can of primer filler, but I googled it and everyone says it would just crack when it bends. To sand down, I usually use a Dremel with a diamond bit because it gets all the rough things out first and then I can follow it up with sandpaper. After that big mess was cleaned up, it was time to paint, and I picked the closest green. I did dilute the paint with thinner because it was already a bit rough and I didn't want to make it worse. So I ended up doing a bunch of thin coats of this green, and that's why I didn't want to mix a custom color because I would eventually run out and have to mix it perfectly again. Some of my painting videos got corrupted when I moved them off my phone, so the painting will jump around a bit. My apologies. I added a thin coat of Mod Podge to the whole thing, and it is complete. Also, I had to connect the feet on the right side of the case with magnets because the iPad couldn't fit back in. This looks absolutely awful. With the case on, it really hides the ugliness, and to be honest, I'm happy with the way it turns out. I would give this a solid 6 out of 10. Bye!